So this is album artwork through the ages, which is part of the Best Art Vinyl exhibition here in Lincoln. The exhibition follows a journey of graphic design and the changes in graphic design within music, and notably for vinyl records. So this is where we begin, which is this wonderful Alex Steinweiss design, who is regarded as the godfather of vinyl record design, back in 1949, and where he produced over 2,500 record covers. So it was very much he was almost bringing this stuff out in industrial quantities, because there were so many records coming out and no one had done it before then. However, many people have followed in his footsteps. And as we can see, as we go through the exhibition, the graphic design changes. There's a marketing element to this. You're trying to sell a piece of music, but at the same time, you're creating something that's hopefully conveying the type of music that's inside and what we're looking at. So as we work through the 1950s, through to the 60s, classic Blue Note design, which is obviously very, very famous. And I suppose to a bit of a changing point here in the late 60s, where in the exhibition we have two Beatles records side by side. We have the Beatles' Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band, a very, very busy, graphically designed sleeve by Peter Blake, next to the White Album, where it's all change. We've gone from this busy image to almost nothing at all. I can't put any cultural relevance on this. That's maybe for the person listening to the music to decide, but maybe that was the point. Maybe they wanted it to be all about the music. Who can say? Then we move through the 1970s, classic Kraftwerk Autobahn, which actually was, it's a sleeve that's very, very much associated with Germany and Kraftwerk, but that is actually a British piece of graphic design that's been used for that, which is a bit of an oddity. All the way through to classic punk, post-punk, stuff that will probably a lot of people will be familiar with. Moving all the way through to the late 80s, when we see the Stone Roses, with the actual John Squire, the guitarist of the band, doing the sleeve art for this one. And there's a lot of detail in this. Obviously, it's inspired by Pollock. We've got spot varnish on these lemons, which is absolutely beautiful. So lots and lots of detail. And this is also a bit of a turning point, because what's going to be happening in the years to come is the CD is going to start taking over as the graphic medium for the graphic designers to work with. So around the corner we go. Onto the 1990s. Now we've got classic records by the first album by Oasis, Definitely Maybe. One could say that in 1994 this was also a bit of a change in the way people used to decorate their homes. This is when we see these lovely bare floorboards that the band all sat around in that front room. So very, very typical of what was almost changing in people's homes at the time for decoration. This probably, in monetary terms, probably the most expensive record in the exhibition, which is Blur's Think Tank, which was one of the early works that Banksy worked on. Banksy did a lot of record cover design in the early days before he got famous for his more public art, let's say. And so this is a great piece of design, not just on the front, but also we've got a beautiful image on the back sleeve as well. So you get two pieces of lovely Banksy art for your money on that one, if you're lucky enough to own a copy. So within the exhibition, we now get to the more sort of like contemporary side of things, and this is 2005, when we decided to launch the Best Art Vinyl Award, which there was nothing really existed before. There was a nod at the Grammys to record cover design, and prizes were given. But we wanted to create something that was specific to record cover design, and we perceive designers who work in this field to be the unsung heroes of of the music industry. They're the people that create images that all of us might end up wearing on our t-shirts or big images at the back of concerts. So the record cover design is the beginning of that process, which then goes on to others. So we start in 2005 with Hard-Fi's The Stars of CCTV, a very, very bold record cover. Maybe it's as much about the marketing as it is the record cover itself, but when you walk into a shop, you're not going to miss that. It's going to be a big, big, bold statement. So, it draws your eye in, and then you can start, investigating the record further. So what's quite interesting is we then move on into 2008, and this Fleet Foxes record, and the artwork is done by Peter Bruegel. And this is a really, really interesting sleeve because it's taking a very, very old image and then making it very, very contemporary, but not changing a great deal. So then we move on to the 2010s with them using a cat in a spacesuit here for the Klaxons back in 2010. And then this is just wonderful, just multiple layers going on here with the way it's been cut, and the iridescence coming off this wonderful fire that we see for Bright Eyes People's Key. All the way through, more spacemen here, very popular. This wonderful shot of Tina Turner dancing for the last Shadow Puppets. Absolutely great, great image. All the way through to last year's winner in 2021, which was the album by Villagers, Fever Dreams. So the design on this is really interesting, that you've got the main image here, but you've got multiple images also reflecting this reference to sleep and the wonderful animals that are being associated with it as well. So it ends here with the fourth image of this lovely man on top of a sleeping snake. So really, really wonderful. So that's up to 2021, and then as we move through the exhibition, we go on to the nominations for Best Art Vinyl 2022, where we've got 50 specially selected, exciting records from this year. So this is where we move on to another year, 2022, and behind me we see the 50 nominations for Best Art Vinyl 2022. It's a process that we've gone through every year for the past 18 years now, and for us it's the highlight of the year when we start channeling down and finding those 50 great record covers that we then put out to a public vote. The way it works is we work with a lot of very reputable record cover designers. We discuss things with them about what record sleeves they've come across this year that have been amazing. We then go back, everyone kind of does another vote so we can drill down and get to 50 record covers. Then this goes out to the public, and we ask the public to vote for 3 of their favourites from these 50. And so we get a nice balanced view of what people have really liked, which will end up ultimately in the winner. I think from this year's nominations, there's a lot more detail going on the record sleeves than we've seen before. It's stuff that whereas before we had Hard-Fi's Stars of CCTV back in 2005, the first Best Art Vinyl winner, which was big, bold, and just an icon. Now we're getting down into real detail. It's the vinyl record format has come back, and now people have got that larger format to look at. One somewhat generic view on a lot of these is that a lot of them have not got the name of the artist on there. It's up to you to know, but in the shop, when you go to the record shop to buy it, you'll find that the vast majority of these, if they haven't got the artist's name on, will have, when they come packed like this, they'll have the artist's name here, and then once removed, we no longer know the name of the artist, we just have a piece of art per se. So that's something that's happening with a lot of artists here. For example, here, without it saying, you would need to know that was a Jack White record. And also what's fantastic is the amount of detail that goes on the inner sleeves as well. This is an interesting example here, great photography. We take this front off here. We then get to see all the shots on the inside that are absolutely stunning as well. And this photography, actually, for the band Rammstein, was done by famous musical artist Bryan Adams, which I had no idea he was a photographer as well, but there you go. So what this is all about is celebrating all means of graphic imagery that's used with music design today. We've got amazing photography, like I've just shown there, amazing artworks, amazing graphic design. It's all put together in this fantastic wall of sound and graphic design that we invite people to vote on their favourites for every year.